The first demand is that there is space for civil society engagement and that civil society isn't sidelined and restricted from access to the negotiations process, and that there is space for more involvement, for stronger protest action, for removal of the very petty limitations on protest and voicing of opinion, and for allowing civil society space to, or access to media and negotiators, unrestricted access to media and negotiators. But in terms of the demands from the UNFCCC, they haven't changed in a while. Civil society wants strong, legally binding emissions reductions targets and emissions reductions at source. We want finance for adaptation that is over and above overseas development aid. We want the transfer, free transfer of good, sustainable technology. We want access to the UNFCCC precincts, free, open access, unrestricted access. Civil society plays an incredibly important role through its lobbying and advocacy, and in many cases through informing government delegates who do not have the capacity or the human resources to attend all the various meetings and keep tabs on all of the negotiations tracks. And this is especially important in small island states and the LDCs, and civil society plays a crucial role in helping to support LDC demands, helping to support the Africa agenda, and keeping negotiators informed, but also helping to guide negotiators who may not be fully aware of all of the impacts of particular decisions. I would hope that with COP being in South Africa, which straddles the developing line, that there would be very strong attention on adaptation. And by adaptation, I mean as much infrastructural development as enhancing the ability of urban and rural communities to withstand the threats of climate change. We are going to be seeing water shortages, impacts on food security, land grabs, and we're already seeing some of this through measures like RED and agrofuel plantations. And it would be quite important to raise these issues and to put onto the table measures that would deal with climate change without creating new problems for Africa. But again, legally binding, strong emissions reductions targets at source, commitment from industrialized countries, commitment from developing countries with high emissions, both to reduce their emissions and to ensure adaptation of vulnerable communities. South African civil society has been doing amazing work. South African, and international civil society working together with many networks across the regions and countries. In South Africa, there's been strong planning towards COP17. There's so many initiatives, it's hard to even begin talking about them here. The Civil Society Committee for COP17 was formed in January 2011, following about 6 months of consultations and meetings in civil society, facilitated by Heinrich Boll and Earthlife Africa Johannesburg and other partners. And this committee has undertaken to provide an open, inclusive civil society space, an independent civil society space that will run parallel to the UNFCCC COP and to coordinate the Global Day of Action. It will also work towards mobilization to encourage people from all parts of South Africa to participate in COP and in the independent activities parallel to COP. But South Africans are working their activities that are planned throughout the year, the activities that are planned for COP, the faith community, school groups, environmental, social, conservation groups, labour movements. Everyone's working really hard towards COP17. It's seen as a very big event for South Africa. Well, what's been really interesting in the past few years is that you're seeing people come into climate change work, climate justice work really, from non-environmental organizations. Climate change is still, in some minds, seen as an environmental issue, but you're seeing more and more people working on water security, food security, access to energy, housing, skills development, job creation, coming into the climate change struggle and linking social and environmental struggles very, very strongly. The Climate Justice Now South Africa group has been very successful in linking some of these organisations, and this is ongoing in environmental justice movements like Groundwork, like Earthlife Africa, and then regionally you're looking at the Pan-Africa Climate Justice Alliance, Third World Network, trade unions. Very many groups from very many sectors are realizing that climate change is very much an economic, social issue, and are working very hard to address the threats and to find meaningful solutions, not only for mitigation but also to enhance people's ability to survive the impacts of climate change.